Greg?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, this is a report on our closed session meeting, which occurred at 6:30 tonight. The council was briefed both on the conference with labor negotiator and on anticipated litigation matter. No reportable action was taken on either matter, and the closed session was adjourned at 7:25 p.m. That is my report. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. May we have the roll call, please?
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Vizcarra?
Here.
Councilmember Yu?
Here.
Councilmember Chavez is absent. Mayor Pro Tem Mann?
Here.
Mayor Sternquist?
Here.
Mayor, I would like to move to excuse Councilmember Chavez for cause.
Second.
Okay, any objections? So moved. Okay, would you please, should I do the invocation from here?
Again.
It seems awkward here. I'll do it from here. That's fine. Okay, if you would please stand and join me in the invocation. Dear Lord, we call on you this evening to bring us wisdom, compassion, and thoughtfulness in all the decisions that we make. During these trying times with so much unsettled issues in our world, now more than ever, we need to come together as families, community, and friends to ensure that our communities are not only safe, but a place where people care, show compassion to one another, and make it the best place that it can be. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. William, would you lead us in the flag salute?
Sure.
Put your right hand over your heart. Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Y'all.
Okay. We have no ceremonial presentations. We have 2 speakers for public comment, and we have Dawn Tarrin from the Camellia Festival. Welcome, Dawn.
Thank you. I am here actually to thank the City Council and the community of Temple City for coming out and having an absolutely amazing Camellia Festival in May this year. It was such an extraordinary year, and I have to say all of the groups who volunteered, whether they were running booths or were in the parade, they definitely got their money's worth this year. The purpose of the Camellia Festival is to promote children to participate in the affairs of the community. And our committee met, and after consideration of planning forward, we made some fiscally responsible decisions for good years and bad, but we were able to agree to donate $14,550 to various youth groups this year, including, I would like to present a check for $2,000 to the city's Camellia Trust Fund, which provides, for anyone who doesn't know, provides funds for underprivileged and disadvantaged youth to participate in city programs. So we are thrilled this year that we're able to give back to the community, and we're actually already starting next year's. We are in the midst of theme contest for the 79th Camellia Festival, which ends on June 20th. You can enter at camelliafestival.org. And mark your calendars for February 24th, 25th, and 26th of 2023 for the 79th Camellia Festival. Which, by the way, if you didn't know, 2023 is the 100th anniversary of the city of Temple being established. Not the incorporation, but the city of Temple being established. So
Seems
thank
like
you.
we're going to need a big party.
I agree. And the following year is the 80th anniversary of the Camellia Festival. So
Right.
I will pass this on to the appropriate
Thank you
people
so much,
tomorrow.
Dawn. And it was a lovely event, and you did such a great job. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We have Jean Locascio, or welcome. And Jean is going to speak on the Eaton Wash bike path.
Yes. I live in Temple City, and
If you could just put your mic down a little bit, Jean.
okay.
Thank you.
The proposed bike path goes right behind my home because it's in the wash area. The bike path, it's going to be, I went to the meeting in 2019, that was the only meeting that we had, and most of the residents from Temple City did object to it. It's a little over a mile, and the project cost at that time was $4 million. I have been trying to deal with the individuals that Temple City said to contact, which with Kenneth Koo and James Yang. They failed to respond. However, Alejandro Nunez, who is the project manager on the project, did get back to me because of my concerns. The rules are basically, it's supposed to be open from dawn until dusk. They're not supposed to have electric bikes. They're going to be putting benches there. I had many questions, and the comment was the gate will be locked. And I had asked, well, are you going to make sure that there's no one there? I don't want people behind my property. It's a safety issue. And they said, no, we don't have the manpower or the funding. We make the rules, but we don't have the manpower or the funding to enforce them. So I'm very concerned. Who is going to protect our safety and our security? The property actually belongs it will be maintained by Public Works. It's not actually the sheriff's jurisdiction because it's not actually a part of Temple City. So I'm wondering, what is Temple City if this project does go through? It ends actually not that far from BHC Mental Hospital. There's already been transients living in the area. The area is actually padlocked. There's a sign saying no trespassing. You can be fined. When one of the neighbors contacted Public Works last week about an individual living there, there was lots of trash. When I spoke to, it was actually very kind, Manuel Ambrose, from Public Works. He said they couldn't even remove the person's trash. They actually have to post notice because it's possibly somebody's belongings, give them time to come back and get it before they can dispose of it. They ask the person to leave, but if the person doesn't leave, they have to contact LASA to have the LASA come and talk to the person to see if they need any housing, medical care, mental health care. He says procedure, even for one person, takes days, maybe a week, to get rid of even the trash or the individual. So if it is opened up to many people, they can't really enforce this. So I'm concerned, and I'm wondering, what is Temple City going to do to protect us?
Thank you. You know, it's been quite some time since we have heard anything. Obviously, during COVID, I mean, it wasn't a time when people were easily coming to our council meetings. But Brian, if you could reach out to the project manager, and maybe he can come and give us an update, and we can see what is happening with that.
Absolutely, Mayor Sternquist.
Okay,
And
thank you.
I was told that it was on hold, but I'm not sure what that means, if it's going
You know,
to be.
it's interesting here that you're here this evening, because just yesterday someone mentioned to me that that project is on hold. She just bought a property and saying in Temple City, but the wash is behind it on Muscatel. And she said that when she was going to remove her fence, someone came out and said, oh, you can't do that because that's part of the county property for the flood control or something. But she's, when talking about the Eat and Wash, the bike thing, they told her that it was also on hold because they're having issues between ownership and that the project wasn't moving forward. But that was just hearsay. Someone mentioned it to me. So maybe, Brian, if we can get someone to come and let us know what's going on. I don't know, Vincent, if you've heard anything or...
I can reach out to my colleagues in the county and provide first to council an update and then an update for the community.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let me ask a quick question. I couldn't hear everything you said. I'm not sure I know where you're talking about, Cecilia.
Eat and Wash is right if you go down Las Tunas.
I know where Eat and Wash
Yeah,
is.
so that whole area was designated as a bike path through the flood control area. There was some community outreach that had taken place pre-COVID with some job specs and project specifications developed. Again, I can provide a little bit more better overview.
Yeah, I just want to know what we were talking about. Are you east of the wash or west? You'd have to be west, I guess.
West, and it starts at Longden, and it stops at Garibaldi. They cross over, then it starts again on the other side, ends at Elm. They have to actually physically go across Las Tunas. It starts again at Las Tunas. It ends like on Rosemead Boulevard, and I'm not sure, it's where the apartments are, and then it just ends there, and there are no bike paths in Rosemead to even continue. So it's like 1.2 total miles, and the jurisdiction could be partly sheriff's, part of it is going through the city of San Diego.
I heard all that. I was still trying to get a picture. Does your property abut?
Yes, right next to it.
Okay.
So it's my backyard.
And you're north of Las Tunas?
Yes, but south of Longden.
Okay, now I got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Brian, if possible, if you could I have her contact information.
I'll give her.
You can.
I'm happy to contact her.
We'll let you know when that gentleman is going to come to the meeting. Okay. All right. We have Cindy. Welcome, Cindy. We haven't seen you forever.
I was just going to say I'm so glad to see everybody again. Hello, hello. It's been a long time. So thank you for all the hard work we're all continuing to do together to care for the animals of the community. I wanted to let you know we have been dealing and will be continuing to deal with all the usual COVID issues, as we all are, staffing concerns, veterinary shortages, all this kind of good stuff. But we're alive, we're well, and the animals are all well cared for. I did want to share that we are having a yard sale this Sunday. So this is our first post-COVID fundraiser. It's a total shot in the dark. We've had so many wonderful donors bringing us all sorts of stuff, and we are so overwhelmed. We thought, well, let's start, putting it to another good use for the shelter and all the animals that we care for. So I wanted to let you know about that, and that we will be having our public rabies clinic on July 23rd. And notices for that will be going out with our licensing letters at the end of the month.
Great.
Okay?
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
Hopefully, in the near future, we can have the pets coming back.
We'll see. We had a big spay-neuter day today, so they're all recovering right now. What we have seen post-COVID is we have so many big dogs. Majority of them are Malinois. Come on down.
I'm afraid I'll take them home.
We've got a lot of big dogs, and they wouldn't be appropriate. And then we have a lot of senior dogs that would not, fare well in a public. They need the quieter. And cats, of course. I almost brought one, but she decided she wanted to stay with her kittens instead.
So one quick question, Cindy. So you mentioned about the rabies clinic. Where would that be at the shelter?
At the shelter.
Okay. Just want to make sure people hear that.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Jing Lee with our library programs.
Good evening, Mayor
Good evening.
Strunquist and City Council and City staff. And I'm very happy to see everybody at the yesterday grand opening. And thank you so much for your support. And also, it's beautiful to see the partnership with the city and the county. And without the council, without the city staff, the events won't be successful. And our community is very lucky to have a devoted city council member and also the city staff to very supportive to the library service. So we're very lucky to have you guys as our leader. And also thank you, Mayor Sundquist, for the wonderful gift. So we're processing today, and with the label, with our county, our cost code, and the book plates have your name on. So it's ready to for our customer to check out with this two wonderful book. And also thank you for the generosity for the check.
You're welcome.
We'll come up with something that will benefit with 6th to 8th grader. So once we have the idea, we'll send you a couple of ideas, and we can talk about it. And so I'm here to remind the community. Starting next Tuesday, we're gonna have the lunch at the library program. It's grab and go for anybody 70 and under. Say every Tuesday to Friday, they can come to a library from 12 to 1 to grab a nutritious lunch and enjoy at the park. And that you don't need to, the children don't need to be present to grab the lunch. And also we starting our summer discovery program, and that's around starting June 1st. We have a lot of people signed up already. So basically you read books, do some activity, you get the prize. And thanks for generosity of our friends of the library, they actually provide additional funding for us to purchase additional gift. So we'll have weekly join as well. That's for everybody. So you can sign up, go to our website, sign up online, or go to a library who can help you as well. And last but least, we're going to have our Tail. That's going to be June 22nd from 3 to 4. And the registration is open. Because with the pandemic, we have to limit how many people can attend the program. But the registration is on our website, is go live. So first come, first serve, so try to grab your spot before, filled up very quick. We have a lot of people showed up yesterday, so people was very excited to see the new library. If you haven't had a chance to visit us, and come to see us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. And that was a lovely event. Thank you to the city and the county and also the library staff for making that so wonderful. Thank you. All right, I think that's it for public comments, unless there's anyone else. Okay. We move to item 7, the consent calendar.
I'll move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Okay. Any objections to that? All right, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Vizcarra,
Yes.
Councilmember Yu,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Man,
Yes.
Mayor Sternquist.
Yes. Okay, consent calendar has been approved. We move to item 8, public hearing. Adoption of resolution number 22-5598, ordering the levy of citywide lighting and maintenance district assessments for fiscal year 2022-2023.
Mayor Sternquist, I will step in for our Administrative Services Director, who is still fighting COVID, but doing well. Before you tonight is the annual assessment, allowing for the assessment of our landscape and lighting district. If you know, as we've noted in with the legislation that was passed several years ago by State Senator Susan Rubio, we have two assessments. One, this assessment that you're approving tonight, and the ad valorem assessment, both of which are combined to pay for our streetlights, our lighting, our landscaping throughout the city. So to use Councilmember Chavez's favorite word, this is a perfunctory action of the council, and I tease him since he's not here. If you have any questions about the engineer's report is required by state law in order to levy this assessment. There is no change in rates. There has not been a change in the assessment rates for over 20 years. There is no escalation component to those rates as well. So that is a flat amount that stays that way consistently, regardless of the cost of the providing the service, in this case, the street lights, the street signals, and everything else. So any questions you may have, I'm here to helpfully answer.
Any questions? None? All right. So.
As this is a public hearing, you'll need to open the public
Yeah.
hearing, and
Let's open the public hearing. Is there any public comment on this? Okay, close public hearing. All right. Peggy, do you need to do anything here?
Okay.
Roll call?
I think we need
have
to
to
adopt the
ask.
resolution.
Doesn't she read it?
Oh, we still have to make a motion for the
Oh.
resolution.
I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
thought you did.
Well, I'll move that we adopt resolution number 22-5598, ordering the levy and collection of assessments for fiscal year 2022 to 2023.
Second.
Okay. Any objections? And no objections, we need a roll call anyway, though.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Viscara,
Yes.
Councilmember Yu,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Man,
Yes.
Mayor Sternquist.
Yes. It is really hard to hear tonight. Can,
The sound audio could be the air conditioning as
Oh,
well.
okay.
So we'll tweak that for the next meeting. Sorry, Mayor.
it's okay. Item 9, unfinished business, none. New business. Item 10, new business. First reading and introduction of ordinance number 22-1063, changing the reference number of ordinance number 22-1060 to 22-1063 pertaining to campaign contribution limits.
Mayor Sternquist, this is just a typographical error that we caught and would ask for you to reapprove the ordinance with the correct numbering and just
Okay.
correct that typographical error for the record.
Okay, I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
Okay, open public comment. None, closed public comment. Any council questions or comments? No? Okay, council motion.
Madam Mayor, I would move to introduce ordinance number 22-1063 for first reading by title only, changing the reference number ordinance number 22-1060 to 22-1063, and waive further reading of ordinance number 22-1063 and schedule the second reading of ordinance number 22-1063 for June 21st, 2022.
Okay, can we have a roll call vote, please?
I'll second.
Oh, second and a roll call, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Viscara,
Yes.
Councilmember Yu,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Man,
Yes.
Mayor Sternquist.
Yes. Okay,
Mayor, may I
and,
read the title? Thank you. Ordinance number 22-1063, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Temple City, California, changing the reference number of ordinance number 221060 to ordinance number 221063 pertaining to campaign contribution limits. Thank you.
thank you. Okay, item 11, update from our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor Sternquist. I'll be very brief. We have several of our colleagues and staff out with COVID right now, so just wishing them all the best of luck. The Parks Director may be sending will be sending an email out to park participants for the potential delay of some of the park programming over the next week or so that they have at least some notice. But again, that's part of our ensuring both the safety for our employees and the safety of the public. So I apologize for those who may be inconvenienced over the next 10 days or so as we go through this process. So, and I appreciate your patience.
Brian, is there any alternative programming that we can refer those parents to that are, the kids are home on vacation
Yeah.
and
We'll do our best. I'll talk to Mr. Matsumoto, our Parks Director, tomorrow, see if there's anything that they can do. But in case of partial refunds, we'll be providing partial refunds, and we just want to make sure the staffing that we're providing is is done in the safest possible manner for our patrons and our residents. So we'll
Okay.
do what we can, ma'am.
I know you will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Update from our city attorney.
Madam Mayor,
Thank you, Madam-
may I ask the Mr. City Manager a question regarding was something that we actually approved earlier on the consent calendar regarding remote meetings?
Oh, thank you, sir.
And I just thought I asked City Manager. So is the plan now that we have adopted the resolution allow city meetings to be held remotely? is the plan to have remote meetings, or is the plan to have virtual or hybrid? So some of us here, some of us may be on the screen.
Correct. Because, and there is the absence of one council member tonight, what many cities have done, and I'll defer to my colleague on this as well from the legal standpoint, is the ability to, adopting that resolution doesn't mean you're defaulting to remote meetings again. What it provides you for is to allow you to have a meeting when maybe one or more of staff or the council has COVID. I had COVID back in April of this year. So it would still allow me essentially to participate in the meeting with you or any of you, if unfortunately if any of you fall with COVID or any other for that reason. So that allows you for that reason, but I'll defer to my colleague on the legal aspect of allowing for remote meetings and what this resolution enables you to do.
Right, so the state law that allows the continuation of remote meetings under the Brown Act is somewhat silent on that concept of hybrid meetings, but most city attorneys and even county council in the smaller counties that aren't quite like Los Angeles and San Francisco have interpreted it to allow hybrid meetings, and it's for exactly what the city manager said. There is a bill pending right now that will allow hybrid meetings to take place without the Brown Act requirement that you post notice on the door of wherever you are over about the next 3 or 4 years if this bill is passed. And it's just a recognition that there are sometimes things that go on that keep a council member from being able to come to chambers, but they still can participate. So the city manager and I talked about this and said, in light of our circumstance, it would be good to move forward with this. Several other of my clients and our firm's clients have used it successfully to allow city council members who've fallen ill, COVID or not, to continue to come to meetings. And so we think it's a good idea. We're going to keep adopting this resolution, or keep bringing it to you for adoption until that new law is passed, at which point we'll be able to operate under that. And for a lot of reasons, the new law, it eliminates the requirement under our current law that there be a state of emergency, because I think at some point we all recognize the state of emergency will end, and that is a requirement. So once that goes away, we'll still have a means by which to allow you to do this. Now, you may be questioning the audiovisual system, and I'll leave that to the city manager, but I know that there are some thoughts about moving ahead with that as well.
All right. Anything else on that?
Just for clarity, so our meetings will still be held normally in person, just like this. Is only if we unfortunately fallen ill, then one of us could remote it. That's the intent, right?
Right. For example, today, if we don't have this resolution in place right now, but theoretically, there would have to be a majority of the council still here in chambers, and in this case, Councilmember Chavez could have been remoting in as well. So this enables us to do that. But no, this does not mean you are defaulting back to remote meetings. This gives you the flexibility in this case with one council member absent to be able to remote in.
What would it, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
What would it take to be able to go back to doing remote meetings?
I'll defer to my colleague on this one, but I think that is also a decision of the council to go back to remote meetings. As we've stated in terms of operations at City Hall, it would have to be a extremely high level, and you could argue there is a high level of transmission right now throughout the community, but at epidemic levels, I think at least operationally for us, what has changed is the vaccine is widely available, therapeutics are widely available, the disease burden on the hospitals, while still heavy, is not what it was a year ago in March, April, May of 2020. So it is somewhat subjective, and it has been, and there was some clear matrix in which we used to determine, and I know that was sometimes a debate with the council as well, but it was really, at the end of the day, it was a judgment call on our part to ensure that we were creating an environment that was safe not only for all of you, but for members of the public as well.
Purely legally speaking, adopting this resolution allows you to go complete remote if you would like. If that's the will of the council, making a policy decision, taking into account what the city manager has said.
So Greg, would we use that same standard that we had before? You could just, as soon as it goes to high level, or?
That's a policy consideration, and I leave that to you as advised by the city manager. Legally, my job is to set you up to be able to do that, and so we have that now, and we'll continue to bring this to you to give you that flexibility. Say we run a very high number in between two meetings. You could decide, city manager could poll you, one meeting we might be here, 2 weeks later, on individual polling, if you all feel like you were going to remote in, he may just say, okay, we'll do the entire thing remote. The agenda will note that, and we'll go from there. So really, by coming back and readopting this, we're giving you flexibility to respond to changing needs over the next few months, which I think is the best thing we can do for you.
Okay. So Fernando, you're okay with that?
Yeah, I think we probably need further discussion, but we should all be together when we do it.
Sure. All right.
I have one more question
Yes.
about that. That by extension also applies to our commissions. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Council reports regarding ad hoc or standing committee meetings.
Does that count as the attorney's update, though?
Is that it? Okay.
Sure. I had a very simple administrative report tonight. Stephanie Gutierrez, who is a deputy city attorney, she has been filling the role of sitting with the Planning Commission, helping me out since our assistant city attorney departed the firm. I will very likely be bringing to you shortly a letter asking you to approve her as assistant city attorney, but I wanted to make sure she worked well with your staff. Also, you will all get a chance to meet her on July 5. I have to be out of state, and so she will be handling your meeting that evening, and so you'll all get a chance to meet her and talk to her, and I won't bring the letter to you asking you to confirm her until you've all met her and I get a chance to talk to you and make sure that you think she can serve the city well. So I'll remind you all of that in 2 weeks, but not quite so formally. Thank you very much.
So she'll be your backup?
Yes, and she's quite able, and I'm happy to have her with the firm.
Okay. Anyone else?
I'm good.
All right. So any council reports or ad hoc or standing meeting, committee meeting?
Actually, we do want to report out for the
Oh.
facilities, public works, and
Oh,
infrastructure
that's
standing
right.
committee.
Okay.
Yeah, that council member you and I are part of. So we had a very constructive meeting with Transtech, our city engineers, and they presented to us the proposed pavement project in the city, which I believe will be brought back to us at the next council meeting.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
correct? Okay. So anyway, it was kind of like a prelude to one of the major capital projects that we could potentially have in the coming year. And in short, the project is focused on, how do I say this? The funding sources are not related to ARPA or any of the new sources that are coming in. They're mainly focused on RMRA, SB1, those types of funds that we've already had within our coffers for a number of years. I think I speak on behalf of Councilmember Yu as well, but I'll let him opine on it. We think it is a good proposal, and it balances sort of the needs from an engineering standpoint, but it also has it adds to the value of the city. We always talk about what can we do to improve the overall roadway network in our city. And the struggle has always been, well, where do we get the money? What's the best use for it? What's the most optimal way to do it? And I believe TransTech has come up with a good proposal. Councilmember Yu.
Yeah, I think the only thing I just want to add is that both the ad hoc, the standing committee, and also the city engineer and the city manager felt that we need to bring this matter back to the council soon, because even though we're facing massive escalation in the construction world, it seems like the projects that are ready to be awarded tend to be able to lock in the prices. So because the price is still going up, so the sooner we bring it back, the sooner we lock in, the sooner we go to bid and lock in the contract. We felt that would be the best strategy. So that's why we'll be bringing that. The city manager will bring that in at our next meeting.
And also just because summer is construction time, so the sooner as a council we can give the green light for it, then I believe TransTech already has plans and specs all ready to go out to bid, so they're waiting for our approval.
Do you think that's going to be challenging to have people come and do the actual construction? It seems like everybody's faced with so many challenges right now.
Yeah, actually, Councilmember Yu probably is more attuned to that side of the business. But what we did hear from TransTech was they believe in terms of the crazy price swings that we saw at the beginning of the year, they see some stabilization of that. So there is some opportunity.
Yeah, we saw generally in the construction world, things were really crazy. So people were actually holding back the contracts. So some of the subcontractors, even though the prices are higher, are not getting as many contracts as they thought they would. So now is a good opportunity. That's why we felt that if we can move ahead quickly, we are able to secure good pricing. And like the Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, summer is really the time to construct roads, and so we want to do it now.
Okay, great. So when do you have a next scheduled meeting, or?
No, I think the next at our next regular council meeting, there will be that. There will be the details of that available to all of council for review.
Good.
And approval.
All right, thank you.
Just an aside, one time I was in South Dakota, and we were talking to a waitress, I think, and she said, there are 2 seasons here, winter and construction. I thought it was cute.
Okay, item 14, council items separate from the city manager's regular agenda. Anyone? Councilmember Yu?
I just want to congratulate Don and others for the great community festival, and also want to thank our librarian for our great library and a great service during the construction, and still you maintain that. And beautiful library. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank our mayor for being instrumental in getting us a funding from the county, and also definitely instrumental in getting our funding for public art. And it's beautiful.
It is beautiful. So. It is. We actually need to thank the community for donating the money for that public art that really speaks to, what that library means to everybody here. So please come out and see it if you haven't had a chance. All right. Councilmember Vizcarra?
I want to thank Don, who, as you all know, was a major force in having this successful event. And one group that is not recognized often, as you know, I'm in the Kiwanis, and we were making cotton candy. I didn't do it, and the other adult that was in there with me didn't do it. It was the high school kids, the Key Club. They worked their little behinds off, and they were there for, 4 hours, 5 hours? Wow. So, yeah. And they made over $2,000.
Wow.
So,
wow.
for the Kiwanis. So anyway,
Listen,
I
when you
wanted
have
to
pina
recognize them.
colada flavored cotton candy, I think it appealed to people of all ages. So that was a great booth. I mean, I love cotton candy, but those flavors were just amazing. All right. Okay, let's see. Who's left? Council. Oh, Mayor Pro Tem.
Oh, thank you, Mayor Sternquist. Don, was that the most well-attended Camellia Festival ever?
I suspect yes.
It was? Yeah, because I mean, I couldn't really count, but I felt like there was definitely no drop-off compared to the last in-person festival. So, yeah, no, congratulations. The weather worked out great as well. And I think my son Adrian has finally hit the age where he's enjoying a lot of the festival. He was going through the, what do you call it? It was like a obstacle course. You go up and down the slides. I think he went through it at least 5 times. So he couldn't get enough of that. So yeah, no, congratulations. Also looking forward to, I know there's not a lot of time, right, to plan for the next one. So great job to you and the entire committee for putting that together. And I too want to say how amazed I was with the new library, and also thank the supervisor, Catherine Barger, for being there with us, and for her leadership and partnership with us throughout all these years. And in fact, one of the one thing that just kind of occurred to me throughout the grand opening yesterday, I was just thinking about continuity of leadership, because in Mayor Sternquist, you talked about how when you first was pursuing the library project, that was then Supervisor Antonovich, and now Supervisor Barger was his chief of staff at that time, right? So, and it just so happens, she is now the supervisor, so there is some continuity in terms of the relationships that you've built over the years for that, and now we see the fruits of that labor. So, I mean, yesterday was election day. We had cities and other agencies with elections, and I think just all in all, Temple City, we as a community have been blessed with a type of stability that other colleagues I know and friends in other cities have kind of marveled at. So yeah, I also want to thank you for maintaining that continuity and for your leadership throughout the years, because people see the grand opening, but then a lot may not know the story behind the time that you spent in sort of making this happen. So I want to thank you.
Well,
for
you're
that.
very welcome.
Yeah.
It is just a joy to see it, but I can't say it enough that, when you come in and you take a look at the donor wall, it'll be much larger, and I was able to help choose, like, what wording do you want for the donor wall, and just, everything I looked at, I mean, I'm not clever enough to come up with my own beautiful statement there on the wall, but there's the one by Walt Disney that is actually there, and I don't know it, verbatim, but it basically says that, anybody can build a building, but it's the people that build a community. And I thought, it's just so appropriate, because the people there who donated that money were our community. The Kiwanis Club, the Women's Club, what's the other club? I'm thinking, I can't think right now. But anyway, I mean, there was Camellia Festival, actually, also. They donated to have a bench put in the little garden section. And I think the thing that's so unique about our library is that all the people from the county, from Public Works, anyone that had to do with the library, the building of it, they all said that it was such a joy to work on that project, because they felt that it was a project from the community. It wasn't just a county project, it was a partnership. And I actually have had a couple of the commissioners who came out from the Library Commission said, well, we want to do something. We're going to work with our own city councils to see how we can partner with them. And I think that was actually the key, Brian, don't you, in being able to get the funding, was to really try and say, let's do something that shows you this community needs this. You know, we hired the consultant, we had the meetings, the library consultant that demonstrated that this city had one of the highest usages per capita of any of the 86 county libraries. So when I went to see Supervisor Antonovich, finally, when I got an appointment in his office, there was really something from the community that I was armed with. Yeah. So, and that came from council, you know, saying we need to do this. So I think it was so many people on so many different levels. It was like the perfect storm.
Yeah, yeah. Mayor, I don't know, when you mentioned hiring the consultant, I think you probably should emphasize it was the city that hired a library consultant for the county to study it. So that took some action on our part to convince the county.
Right. So I had that, and that was something that we all did it, you know, as you said, Vincent, as a council. And so it really gave, you know, it was much more than just a council member who was persistent and an advocate for libraries. It actually showed the support from everybody.
Yeah, initially when we asked the public library to renovate a library, they said there's no money. And then you've been persistently chasing at every turn for the county to help.
You know, I was quite surprised that when I would ask people if they would be interested in donating, including our wonderful attorneys, Burke Williams, who donated a hefty sum of money to, you know, the artwork. I mean, it was just such a great sense of giving that people really felt it was for something that was so desperately needed in this city. So, I mean, my thanks so much. But when you get a chance, the donor wall, Brian, any idea about when? In 4 weeks? In about 4 weeks it'll be there. And then you can see the wording and just how appropriate it is as a thank you to all those people who helped donate. And of course, Catherine has been wonderful, Catherine Barger, and making up the difference in the monies that we needed. So she truly loves Temple City. She leaned over to me and she said, you know, it's just such a beautiful city. And you have such a wonderful council. I mean, she can't say enough about all of you individually and, you know, all of us together and our city manager and everyone who's had a part of this. So anyway.
Yeah,
I can go on forever about this, thanking people.
She loves our city. I mean, I went to a lot of county events where the supervisors were opening a facility or something, but I've never seen supervisors spending so much time engaging the community. Because you could tell she really enjoyed it, and she spent, a couple hours with us in her busy schedule. And, but it just set the record straight, though. That library, the city did pay for a fair amount of the construction costs. And that was not mentioned in the opening. And I just want to set a record straight. We actually did pay for about a third of the construction costs.
And also to add to that, I mean, someone else remarked about the partnership that we have with the county. They said, well, there's not, in their experience, they said there's not a lot of cities that's willing to just come up with their own money to make a project happen. And that actually is a testament to the council as a whole, even before I was on council, because having financial stability allows us to take advantage of these opportunities when they come up. Because let's say in theory, let's pretend we didn't have reserves. Then this wouldn't have even been a discussion, right? It would have just been, library has no money, no project. But we did have reserves, and we committed that to this project and made it happen. So.
And I think even before you came on, William, that was really the council's decision to put money that we had back, not just to build reserves, but to be able to put money back into the community from those reserves should we have a project that would be really viable. And so I think leveraging our money was really good at this. We were really good at leveraging our money. So we need to do that again. I have some things in mind. Okay. Anything else, William? Again, Dawn, I mean, you know, your energy is contagious. And it was just such a beautiful day. I was honored and humbled to be able to ride in that parade as the mayor and just enjoy those kids, see them on the little Foothill bus. I mean, Foothill Transit thinks they are just the most amazing group of kids that they have ever had ride in that little bus. But they were very charming, and hats off to you and everybody who volunteered. So pass on our thanks to everyone. Something interesting is a neighbor of mine who has American Water, which I just recently inherited, said she got an email saying that she is restricted to 2 days of watering. I believe it's Monday and Thursday, and what the times were. But I have American Water, and I have no restrictions sent to me. I checked every email trash on the computer. Couple neighbors did get something, others didn't, and I was wondering, because we have so many different water companies, if maybe we should try and, can we do that, Gray? Can we put our own ordinance in place during this drought, or because nobody's going to know what to do?
You know, it's difficult if the city's not the water provider to put an ordinance in place, because then you are enforcing it, but the different water providers, depending on exactly where their water's coming from, may actually have different restrictions. And so you could be enforcing on somebody who is legally unrestricted, which then creates kind of a problem. It's difficult in contract cities, I know.
So what do we do with the state rule then? That says June 1st, you can only water once a day.
So the state rule that's come out does not apply to residences. It applies commercial, industrial, and institutional, and it does not apply to essentially playing fields or grass that's being actively used. It really, they're looking at sort of the pretty landscaped areas, and that's where the water restrictions lie. So we can work on those with, again, the commercial, industrial, and institutional, which would be the schools and ourselves here in Temple City, and get the word out, share that word. But I would hesitate to adopt a resolution or an interim ordinance because, again, some of it's really going to depend. Some may have much stronger restrictions, whereas we're all living under the new state restrictions. So let us work with that administratively and before we come back with something broader.
I'm wondering if staff in the meantime could contact the different water companies and see what they have sent out, and then if we could just put it on the website so that a resident who has American Water can go look and say, oh, I water such and such a day. And that would be really helpful, because I don't believe they're going to be able to enforce it. How are they going to enforce it? Right? But at least if we try and do some campaign to get people to save water and we put the list, then I think we'll have some compliance. Some compliance is better than no compliance.
Is each of the water companies, like Sunny Slope and American Water and all that, independent without there's no umbrella organization over all of them, like the Upper San Gabriel Water District?
Right. There is, and the state has its rules, but the strongest restrictions right now are on entities that have a lot of water from the state water project, whereas entities that get more water from, say, the Colorado River or groundwater have fewer restrictions. An example that was in the Los Angeles Times, the Conejo Water District out in the Thousand Oaks area, Calabasas area, is under severe restrictions because it gets a very high percentage of its water from the State Water Project. They've actually developed and are going to be putting, it's a small metal disc that operates as a restrictor, and it's got, I think it's a 1/12 of an inch or a 1/6 of an inch hole, and when this disc goes in the water pipe at the meter, it'll be taped up with non-replicable tape, so if you break it open to pull the disc out, they'll know, and it's a $1,000 fine. And it's going to restrict the water flow. As it was described, a dishwasher will still work normally, but the water coming out of your shower will feel like the water coming out of a sink. So it's going to really rein them in. And they're doing it to themselves because the last time they had problems, or the last time we had restrictions, they had real problems with people continuing to overwater landscaping. And they put fines on top of fines on people, and in some areas, people just paid the fines because they wanted green grass. So different agencies will do different things, but their primary means of enforcement will be fines that they'll put on the bill and try and impose additional financial penalties. And if it goes beyond that, they'll probably be calling Conejo to see if they can buy those little restrictor plates.
And just in quick summary too, as the adjudicated basin through the boundaries of the Upper San Gabriel Water District, you have what are mutuals and you have private. Each of them have different water rights that how much they can essentially pump out of the groundwater system. Upper San Gabriel essentially buys from MWD and others to essentially replenish the groundwater. So they're essentially, they report back to the state water master to say, hey, we're in compliance, we do all these other things. But they're the ones who essentially distribute that out, wholesale that to the water providers. So again, and I understand the frustration with our different water providers doing that, but part of the trick for us is that you have different entities. You have mutuals, you have private water purveyors who are maybe looking at this just a little bit differently with each of their customer bases because of whatever water rights they have and those other economic factors of delivering that water along with meeting those state requirements.
So,
but we can go ahead and do exactly what you asked for, Mayor. Okay. We can contract each of our water purveyor, our water suppliers, get on the website, make sure it's clear to each of them. If you live here, we can put up, I think during the last drought, we put up a map, said if you live in here, this is your water supplier, and we can find a way to do some good simple infographics as well.
And I think last time the staff actually put up some drought saving tips if they just can take that out again. They don't need to reinvent it. But
we've done a couple of those, but we'll do some more for sure.
Okay, great.
No, I was going to say, just to contrast what you shared, Mayor, I have Sunny Slope. I just found the email. They said, for Sunny Slope customers, you're restricted to one day a week watering.
Wow.
And
1 day a week. Yeah.
If your address ends in odd number, your watering day is Tuesday. If your address ends in even number, your watering day is Thursday. And they do not allow watering between 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Where did you find that?
That's Sunny Slope. They
got
emailed
an
me.
email also.
Because I have Sunny Slope at home, so they sent me that.
Well, I have Sunny Slope. I haven't gotten that.
See, it's hit and miss.
Interesting. Okay.
But when we call, maybe we can ask them where they get their email lists from and how people can sign up and contact them. You didn't know you could water once? We're going to have a lot of dead lawns, so maybe we should try and look at doing something creative on the medians, some type of, I don't know, something to encourage them with, putting drought tolerant planting. The Upper District is offering turf removal. I think it's $2 a square foot. So you can contact them. So if we can get that information also put in on the website, those type of things would be really helpful for residents who decide that they would like to transition to more drought tolerant yards. So whatever we can do to help the situation, Brian. All right. I cannot tell you how many times I have driven by the park and it is just full. People are using the park, the EV stations, there's always cars being charged. It is getting so much use, and it's just so beautiful to see, especially at 8 o'clock at night when it cools down. You see families at Primrose Park. It's just wonderful to see. So all of you who worked on that, great job. And I think that's it. Any additional public comments from items not listed on the agenda, Steve?
Mayor Sternquist, Mayor Pro Tempore Mann, council members, city staff. I've noticed this evening some activity involving homeless people with certain chemicals that they had with them, potential drug dealing. And it's right there in front of the bathroom. And our own public safety commissioners, one of them was Noel.
Are you talking about here, Steve?
Yeah. Walked right by there, and you know, she got real suspicious and says, keep your eye on these people. And they need to do something about the homeless people over there at the right there where the restrooms are, because this has become a nightmare in the restrooms too, because sometimes they stay in there for hours and they lock the door. This kind of activity there can't go on. I've seen drug dealing in the park there before myself years ago and helped stop it. And it seems like it's starting to go back to where it was before, where these homeless people are doing what they want, and it needs to stop. The other thing is, I was listening to the talk about doing some remote council meetings. So U.S. Supreme Court made a ruling. It started out with restaurants that you can't close something unless you can prove to the court that it's causing the virus to spread. Our own congressmen and U.S. senators during that time period about 2 years ago asked how much longer our constitutional rights are going to be violated by this health crisis. The way they're doing this health crisis is just totally dead wrong. It's not being done properly. Most of the reason they had so many people in the hospital before is they didn't need to be there. They needed to go home and recuperate. They have the meds to deal with this, you know. And I've been real sick before, and I've never had to stay in the hospital. They give me meds, and I recuperate at home. What's wrong with this is they're taking an approach that's never going to work. This is so useless to keep going back and forth on this stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. All right, if there's no additional comments, we are adjourned. And the date of our next meeting is, when is that, Brian? You have it?
21st.
21st.
Which
Your
is
regular meeting is the 21st.
back on a Tuesday.